Jude, how are you going to clean your room today?
Oh, I'm going to clean my room first by taking everything off the walls.
Ding,
I'm going to wash all the surfaces.
ding.
I'm going to blow on all the surfaces. I'm just going to blow the dust off of everything with my own body.
This is Improv in Real Life. I'm Jude Treder-Wolff. I've worked in mental health for 40 years, and in that time, the world has changed completely. Technology has transformed how we communicate, connect, even how we work. But in our relationships, change doesn't happen that fast. That's where improv comes in. Improvisers learn to create together without a plan, and they do that by learning a set of skills. Anyone can learn these skills, and they translate directly to life. In this podcast, we'll explore how improv can help us navigate the speed of life. And together, we'll explore how to face change with creativity, agility, and a sense of play. I recently ran a week-long improv camp for 7 to 9-year-olds, and we started every group with a classic rose and thorn exercise. The rose is a good thing that happened or that you're thinking about. The thorn is a difficult or a negative thing. And on the second day, one of the kids says, "Can we add a bud, like something new that's coming out?" Of course, I say yes, while my heart is leaping out of my chest that they're putting this much thought into it. And she says, "The bud is, I've already started sharing these games with my family last night, and we had so much fun." And all the kids are like, "Me too, me too." There's a New York Times article titled, "Yes and Clean Your Room," and it'll be in the show notes, which is a great read about how skills gained through improv can be power tools for parents. So I am very excited to share this conversation with Mary Theresa Archbold and Pat Shay, both improvisers who are also raising a family together and work with other parents using improv. This podcast is brought to you by LifeStage. LifeStage provides opportunities for people to gain skills and knowledge for navigating today's uncertain world. The capacity for creativity, connection to new ideas and other people, collaboration, and community building. For more information, visit lifestage.me.
My guests today are two fantastic improvisers, teaching improv, performing, and also working with families and parents and doing a podcast called Funny Parents. Because guess what? They are parents and they are funny. So I love to welcome this amazing pair, Pat Shay and Mary Theresa Archbold. Welcome to Improv in Real Life, guys.
Thank you. We're happy to be here because we love real life.
Thank you for the intro, Jude.
Well, I love your podcast, and I love the idea of just lightening up the whole idea about what parents go through and just talking about it honestly, but also making comedy of it is a wonderful gift because especially what people go through to be good parents. And we've spoken before. I remember Mary and I talking about some of the games and exercises that you've used with parents that they could take home and do with their kids or use to shape their thinking as parents. And I know that you have a model that you've come up with that you call the RAM model appropriately for parents. Ramming speed. Is that appropriate?
That's exactly what we're talking
movies?
about. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
could you just share your honest and true take on the RAM model, resiliency, adaptability, and mindset, as I understand it, and take it away. Tell us about it.
So, yes, the RAM model sort of developed over time. When we first had kids, of course, we did what any sensible actors, improvisers did. Have a long conversation how we should quit this business. That's where we started. We were like, this is idiocy. We should quit. We should get real jobs.
That was before we had kids, by the way. That was when we discovered we were going to become parents. It was
Okay.
Pause. What are we doing? Yeah.
And this can never work. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we then decided, because we were young and idiots, that we were going to just stay true to the course that we had laid out and ultimately say we'll be better parents if we are happier doing what we do. Now, never did I think before I had kids that our improv training would be a cornerstone of how we were raising our kids. Never, ever had crossed my mind. All I knew is that I didn't want them to do this for a living. As I always tell them, I was like, you could be the funniest men in finance.
Yeah.
Go there. Be funny in finance. Very quickly, we realized we were making active choices around using improv to raise the dudes. And we started doing classes when our oldest was 3. He's now 14, where we started playing games, literal improv games with our kids and other parents and kids. And it started so simple with simple, like zip, zap, zop, one word story. And you would be amazed how well 3 and 4-year-olds can play one word story.
Yeah. And I remember very much the first time we did a sample class, just sort of, hey, is this something that might be interesting to families, to parents? And there was a guy who brought his 2 kids, and they did one word story while we were there. And we wanted to see if this would work in any way at all. And so we put together kind of a sample class, invited some friends, put it out there, saw if anyone would sign up, and some people did. And we were lucky enough to have a couple of people we didn't know sign up and come and try it out. And I remember very specifically, there was a dad, he brought his 2 kids. They would have been about 4, I think, Mare.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids did not seem that interested, and no one seemed that happy in that moment. But we did the session. We had a good time generally in that session. I was just talking about that particular family. And then later that night, the dad emailed us saying, when does a full session start where we can do this every week? The kids have been playing one word story all night long. And we got to know them. They actually shared an apartment with another family, and the kids had taught it to the other kids, the kids from the other family. And it was this whole cycle of one word story. And that was really the intro into our, hey, let's make sure we're doing improv with our kids. We would bring our own kids. We had an opportunity for everyone to do it together. And changing the way we're thinking about talking with each other and the way we're thinking about collaborating with each other.
I love that story. I love the fact that it was a to be continued theme. Like this goes
Mhm.
out to another family that you never would have met otherwise, and the benefit goes on and on. And I also love that because kids learning to give and take focus in that way and really listen to each other and build on each other's ideas and have that be fun and
Mhm.
positive for them is just an amazing gift to give to kids. Instead of telling them what to do, it's like, here's something you can do. So
And you're going to have another thing to do in a minute here, you know? Yeah.
that's right. So tell us more about how the resiliency, adaptability, and mindset model comes to be. And we're going to do some games for each of those principles. Yeah.
So when we then started doing it for schools, for school districts, where they would bring us in for parent education. And it was fantastic. And we started really piecing together the different mindset pieces of it. What did we want it to be based on? And listening was key. Agreement was key. And figuring out all these things. And then, a little thing called 2020 happened. And everything went online. And everything went full-time family 100% of the time. And we discovered
Yeah.
parents needed support so much more in that moment on how to communicate with their kids.
Yes.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, kids were dealing with something that none of us had to deal with, and we're still seeing, I mean, Mary and I were teach a class at a college on Long Island, and the head of department there was talking recently about how the group that came in right after the pandemic, they were seniors last year, was just a very, very different the entire time. They had a very, very different energy. And so this idea of, okay, the classes we'd done before had been about communicating, right? Which is always very, very important. And we did a workshop for parents on reading with your kids and reading to your kids and expressive reading and having fun in the moment of reading. And what can you find when you're in the middle of a story? Not just the words on the page, but can we act it out? Can we build the scene? Can we do anything like that? And how do we think about math? Because a lot of kids see themselves, a lot of people, I should say, see themselves as math talented or math insecure. Right. And if you see yourself as math insecure, there's research behind this. You will score 20 points lower than if you have done some mindfulness work to clear that out of your mind before you take the same test
Wow.
with no extra math work. Yeah.
So the idea of mindfulness that you're
Hmm.
describing there, can you link that to improv practices?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I
Nice.
hope you
See,
noticed what I just
see
did
what
there.
you did there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
see.
That.
is our first step, right?
Yeah.
In mindfulness, the first thing we do, or one thing we need to do is absorb. That's
Yeah.
a new word I
Absorb it.
invented.
That's what
Absorb it.
it's our made up word.
Absorb, be with the moment, right? Be with the moment that you're with and accept, right? And same thing. Yes, in improv is a moment of mindfulness to take in the information that came our way, right?
Mm.
So, and then and is that constant reassurance that whatever it is, it connects to something I have to offer. It connects to something that I know, feel, something I see from my particular perspective, right? And that realization that I'm always connected, right? Also, to me, goes straight to the sort of mindfulness exercises that these researchers in Chicago were doing with kids to get them to release this idea that, oh, I'm not good at math and take a test again. And so we're doing that with math, and that's absolutely a mindset piece, right? In terms of fixed versus growth mindset.
Right.
Am I going to grow out of the experience of doing this test, or am I good or bad because that's an innate quality of mine, right? Obviously, we're more effective when we can see challenges from that first perspective. And then, and I'm sorry, Mary, I feel like I'm talking everyone's ear off, but then this pandemic comes. And the idea of mindset became much more important because now we've got not one challenge, we have three-dimensional challenges. It isn't just the math that we have to do. We've got to absorb an awful lot. And we have a new world that we have to adapt to. And at the same time, resilience, I was working, facilitating some leadership, people managers in a corporate environment, and the idea of resilience had come to the forefront for that organization as well. And so we were doing a lot of research on resilience and the whole idea of bouncing back, again, very important during a pandemic. And I was able to come across some interesting thoughts on that. And there isn't that much on resilience right now. We're able to use that and connect it to, okay, if I'm working with people managers in a financial firm about how they get their line workers to show up to the Zoom in an effective way, I've got to be able to work with my kids who are in Zoom labyrinths as it is. And so from there, we really started thinking, okay, how can we talk with parents about and how can we use improv in our own lives to address, to build up the idea of resilience with our kids and ourselves, the
Right.
idea of adaptability, the idea of coming back again and again to a growth mindset.
This is very different. This is living in something, in an experience with other people. Like even the one word story is about, I'm just paying attention to you right now, and we're taking turns. And once you see improv this way, you don't ever see it any other way. You just see it at all these applications, as well as having fun. Look at the win.
Absolutely. Yeah, and for me, one of the big things that came out of doing these parent and really focusing on the parent, because so often and so much improv is for kids to keep that creativity. It's usually not the kids that struggle to keep the
Mm.
creativity.
You're right
It's
about
the
that.
parents who forget that we need to keep the play in parenting. We play when they're little. We play, 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 and then something goes off in our brain and it's like, well, yes, there's value of independent play. I'm not saying there's not. What I'm saying is that there still has to be give and take, and it continues and continues and continues because you want to keep the fun and the play in your relationship. Otherwise, parenting can feel a little transactional.
That's so true. And pressure. It's just stress and pressure at that point. How do I get you to do the right things? Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
one of the things we learned really early on, and it sort of happened organically, is when our oldest was probably about 2, and the curiosity kicks in, and they walk around, and they're beelining for an outlet to put their fingers in said outlet.
With the fork.
Well,
Right?
you got to have
With
the
a
fork. I mean, what
well,
is it without the fork?
right? One of the things that we realize is that we could potentially establish a pattern of saying the word no over and over and over and over again to the point that we become a broken record. Or we can start to make a distinguished choice between no, which is a hard line. For me, when I say no to my kids, it's usually about safety.
Right.
Can I chat with this stranger? No, you may not. Right? I'm looking between this and this and this. I don't love you going that way. I would say to our then 2-year-old, make another choice.
Right.
Just make another choice. Not saying that's bad, dangerous to do. No, just make another one. And I have found that that was actually a game-changing moment for us, because we got to make our kids start to realize I always have options. I always have options in this life. And so when parents are realizing that they don't constantly have to shut down, that sometimes we just have to present alternatives or empower them, empower our kids to make active choices rather than passive choices.
Yeah.
Things just go easily.
Well, there's an improv game for this.
There is.
You want to take us down that road?
Sure. So one of the games that we love is New Choice. And I'm going to not lie to you. When I first started doing improv in Chicago, I hated this game.
Mhm.
Hated it. Yep. You too, Pat?
I have had I don't want to say love-hate relationship, but complex relationship with this game. Yeah.
No, I hated it. So I found pressure in it as opposed to, because what the problem was in this game called New Choice, some people call it Ding. My training of life is that I'm trying to get the right answer.
Okay.
And playing this game over and over freed me to realize there was no right answer, that there was just what was next.
Right.
What comes next. So, what I would love for the three of us to do right now is let's come up with a game plan about how we're all going to clean our bedrooms today.
Okay.
Mm.
Right? So, Pat's gonna kick us off, tell us about how he's going to clean the bedroom. And at some point, I'm going to say ding. And he's going to repeat what he just said with a different choice. If he had said, I'm going to start by stripping the bed, and I said ding, he's like, I'm going to start by throwing the pillows in the air. Ding. He's just going to make different choices as to how he is going to begin cleaning the room. All right, Pat, take us away. How are you going to clean our room?
Well, I'm going to start with the dresser, and I'm going to start at the very top of the dresser with the various, whether piles of paper and little accessories and things that have pooled there. I'm going to take them all off. I'm going to sort them. I'm going to get rid of what I
Ding.
can. I'm going to sort them, and I'm going to build piles uh, uh, as high as I possibly can of all three of them together, papers and
Ding.
accessories. I'm going to desort them. I'm going to make a pool of papers and accessories in a pot and stir them around until they form into a solid. And that solid I'll pack into a box, and it will be right there at the top corner of the dresser.
Ding.
I am going I'm going to take the accessories and the papers, and then I'm going to take them from the top of the dresser to the bottom of the dresser so the top is clean and I can deal with all that stuff later.
Great. I'm going to
Then
call you there.
I'm
I'm
going
going to call you there. Call you there. Jude, how are you going to clean your room today?
Oh, I'm going to clean my room first by taking everything off the walls. I'm going to take everything off the bed. There are many things on the bed, and I'm going to put them on the floor.
Ding.
I'm going to put them in the closet.
Ding.
I'm going to put them in the hall. And then the bed will be completely clear, right? So with that, with the things off the walls and the things out of the room, I will then take, I'm going to dust.
Ding.
And then I'm going to wash all the surfaces.
Ding.
I'm going to blow on all the surfaces. I'm just going to blow the dust off of everything with my own body. At that point, I will begin to go through the piles of clothes that
Ding.
I will go through the piles of magazines.
Ding.
I will go through the piles of books that are next to the magazines and the laundry that I have never put away. The books, again, go into the hall.
Ding.
The books go into the living room. The magazines will go out to the street.
Ding.
The magazines will go to my neighbor because they're
Ding.
kids. The magazines will go to my mom. She does a lot of crafts and she could use them. So they'll go in the trunk of the car to go to my mom's. That leaves the pot, that leaves the laundry that I have nowhere to put it because the drawers are overflowing. I
Ding,
I have nowhere to put it because I don't have a dresser.
ding.
There's nowhere to put it because because I only have paper bags to put my stuff in. It
I will call it there. That was amazing.
was very fun.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. How
yeah,
did that feel?
well, I'll say for myself, I didn't hate the game when I learned it years ago. I did, when I was starting out in improv, struggle with the stress of it. I did. I got a brain freeze at the stress of it, and I would say things that were the same. I just didn't change it that much. And that's why I love it as a improv in real life kind of exercise, because not only does it make you a more fluid, agile thinker as an improviser, but in real life, just to free yourself from that rigidity that we just bring to something where everybody's watching and I have to come up with something. It's not really a threat, but our brain kind of registers it as a brain, you get a brain freeze because it's a little scary. The more you do it, of course, the more you realize it's fine. It's fun. Like have the most fun possible and you become more free. So I just had a great deal of fun and was hoping you would ding me even more because then it changed my situation even more. So I love that. I loved it. But I recognize the struggle, as you said, like the stress and the pressure of it when you first start. But if people stay with it, it's very effective. What did you think, Pat?
It's funny. I think in a monologue form like this, it felt a little more comfortable. I felt like I was giving myself more space than I frequently do in a scenic situation where I feel like I've got to answer something right now. I've got to come up with something right now. And so it was really fun to do it in this way because I felt like, okay, hey, it's okay. I've still got more that I can explore. And again, that being the thing that we want to remind people who are doing it of, it makes it more and more fun.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I always think about is as much as I would love my kids and sometimes my spouse to think about doing things exactly as I would do them, leaving this open to how
Hmm.
do you want to attack this? Giving them that choice of what if we did this and this? Tell me the order in which you want to do it in.
I love that. And I've certainly treated a lot of parents as a therapist that were, it's some silent force is watching me as a parent and judging me. This could be the other parents, it could be people in my community, it could be people at my church, but people are watching what kind of mom or dad I am. And some of that's imaginary. Some of that, I mean, most of it is projection. And it becomes very freeing. To play a game like this is like, oh, my imagination is coming up with ever wilder realities,
Mhm.
and it's fine. In fact, so it's just to free yourself up is a wonderful gift to people that are under pressure all the time. I think we cannot overstate how pressured, worried parents are about doing well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like
Yeah.
one of the big things is that it also, we stop being so precious,
Yes, I love that.
right? And we have to just embrace also when raising little humans, they have their human ways.
Yeah.
And so it empowers them to say, no, I want to hear your voice. What's the way you're going to attack this?
Yeah. I think it's also important, and then we'll move on to the next thing. But I also think it's important for kids to hear, like you were emphasizing, how important it is for parents to play with their kids. And parents could, for lots of reasons, kind of lose that side. It's so important for kids to have their parents encourage them to think in these weird, wild ways because they want to do that anyway. And then go, okay, now we're going to make reality. Reality feels a little bit bigger, feels a little bit more flexible. And that's what resiliency is, right? It's being able to be flexible, to adjust and find a creative response instead of a rigid response.
Absolutely. Actually, Pat's story is the perfect example of family resiliency. I don't know if you want to add a story now or if we can save the stories for later, but
Well, fair enough. I feel like you've queued me up, Mary. And so I'll share it briefly. Last summer, we had every intention to take the family to Disney World. And it wasn't just a Disney trip. It was a trip to see family because the boys have two adult cousins who both work in different areas of Disney World. And so we're going to get to, yeah, spend time with them on their days off and, friends and family discounts here and there and stuff like that. It was all very exciting. And we were doubly excited because we booked everything on miles. And so we were very clever about that. And we were connecting through Charlotte on our way down. We land in Charlotte and it's been raining all day. We miss our connection.
Oh,
Um, and there's a hurricane coming. Now it's not going to hit Orlando and it's not going to hit Charlotte. It's going to kind of pass in between both of them. But what ends up happening is that we're run over, try and rent a car because we could drive that overnight from Charlotte. I could do that, end up in a line. And by the way, quick note, your car rental reservation is not actually a reservation in any traditional sense of the word. Car rental companies were taking reservations from anyone who had a phone. And unfortunately, they had a finite number of cars. And after waiting till I believe 3 a.m, I was 5th in line and they ran out of cars. It was right there. And so we're stuck. We're sleeping on the floor of the Charlotte airport. Finally get a hotel. But that's okay. We're going to get out the next day. We're going to get out the next day at noon. So we wake up, we go back to the airport. Oh, this time they couldn't find a pilot. Flight get canceled again. At a certain point, we're going to go to Disney. We're going to go to Disney. This time we get a rental car. It smells like a chain smoker grew up in it, but it's a rental car and we're on our way down and we're driving and we're realizing, looking at the hours and everything, we're not going to be able to get around this hurricane.
oh no.
And yes, yes. And at a certain moment, here's the thing. We had to say, okay, yes, we are going to be in Charlotte. Yes, we are not going to get to go to Disney World. Yes, we are going to free ourselves from the stress because at that point we would have had maybe 48 hours there anyway. And we're going to go back to the hotel. We're going to get a night of sleep. And tomorrow we're going to see what Charlotte has to offer us, right? So we get up, we look, we find a really nice barbecue place. And in this moment, we're driving to the barbecue place. And now our older son is a soccer obsessive. And I mean, he can be very exhausting with his soccer knowledge and his insistence on talking to you about soccer. And that's great. And within soccer, he has his idol, his icon, which is a Croatian player named Luka Modric, who plays for Real Madrid, one of the great clubs, arguably the greatest club of the world. And we're driving to the barbecue place, and he notices on his soccer app, because this is the first time he's had a check, that Real Madrid is playing tomorrow an exhibition match here in Charlotte. So we get barbecue. And Mary, yes, ands our son, and looks up where they're staying. And it turns out the barbecue place is not far from the hotel. And so we have no place else to go. We go over to the hotel and he gets to meet a bunch of other Real Madrid fans. And as they're doing that, and they get to see like an iconic player who was walking to a car out of the hotel and everyone's swarming him because as it turns out, this crowd grew around the hotel over the course of the day and they were right in front. And one of our kids' favorite soccer YouTubers, and yes, that's a thing, a soccer YouTuber, but this guy has 7 million some odd followers, hops out of a car and the boys go crazy. And he is Spanish. He's so surprised that there's these 2 young American boys who know who he is. And so he comes over and he greets them and they're laughing. They get selfies and they have this nice conversation. And the Real Madrid fans come and eventually the bus comes back from training. And our son gets to see his icon from about the distance of our apartment from one side to another. You
Wow.
know? Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't perfect. At the same time, none of that would have happened. And that was a very, very special moment for our kid. Actually, for
Yeah.
both of our kids, because again, the other one also loves the soccer YouTuber. And he came into school. He was so excited to tell people when fall started. I met Foot Crunch. And we never would have had it had we not said yes. And not said
And
and. And what do we do, right? Yeah.
yes, the resilience that you showed and the adaptability that you showed to say, this is like, we're not going to get around this reality. We can't keep challenging it and
Right.
it's bigger than us. And then to make the most out of it, that's a gift that you gave your kids. They can learn from that. And then to have this beautiful discovery. It's like how when you discover how I was just reading about scientific discoveries that happen because of accidents. Post-its
Oh, yeah.
were developed in microwave ovens. And I was just reading a few different things. Cornflakes was discovered because
Yeah.
of an accident. And so they just made something out of an accident and then it became the hit, and that's really what you did. And so a beautiful story. And that perfectly takes this idea of to be an improviser on the stage of life, to use those skills to make life happen in the real real time and then have a wonderful creative surprise come out of it. I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing. That's exactly what we're talking about. So do you guys have a
Awesome.
game? I mean, the adaptability thing we're covering there. So do you have a game for
Yeah.
the mindset principle or the adaptability principle? Okay.
Yes. So one of the games that we love to promote for adaptability, and this is very applicable for parents, particularly with school-age children working on math.
I love this. Yes.
So it's a version of ad game, but we're going to do something kind of awful. We're going to do some 3-digit multiplication. So what we really want to focus on is we're going to put out a number times another number, and we're going to try to figure out what is the solution. Now, the interesting thing is we don't want to try to go right at it. We want to start to break down, chunkate pieces of this mathematical equation. We always want to start with the idea, if we're looking at 862 times 428, what do we know? We always want to start from the place of power, right? What do we know? We're going to add to it. We're going to add and add and add to it. So let's say 862 times 428. So if we, Pat, Jude, and I, what do we know about 862 times 428?
Their numbers.
Can I add one thing there?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, they're numbers. Absolutely, yes. And the one thing we want to add is that we're going to celebrate everything we know. We're going to celebrate everything we figure out about this equation, right?
Okay.
And so we're going to take a moment like ad game where you celebrate every idea going into a circle. We're celebrating everything we know about math as we make our way from this question to the solution.
Okay.
Right? So, yes, we know that they're both numbers. Excellent.
Woo!
Yes.
Yay! Yay, numbers. Yes.
I know that 8 times 4 is 32.
Yes.
Yay!
Awesome. 8 times 4 is 32. Yes. Wonderful. I know that. So if 8 times 4 is 32, 800 times 400 would be what? 32 with 4 zeros after it, right?
So that would be 320,000, right?
320,000. Yes.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes. Yay!
Yeah.
I know that the number is it 862 we're starting with?
862
Yes.
times 428. Yep.
Okay, I know that 6 times 2 is 12.
Yes. 6
Yes.
times 2 is 12.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay! And so I know that 60 times 20, so if 60 times 10 is 600,
Right.
60 times 20 would be 1,200.
It would be 1,200. Okay, this is fantastic. Oh, great. So I know 8 times 2 is 16.
Woo!
Yes, yes.
So we're starting to gather this. We know that 320,000, right? We also have 1,200. We also have 16.
16. It can't be that easy, can it? Or can it? I mean, I also know that we could stack them and do it that way. Yes.
Yes. Apparently we could stack them.
Yes.
Yes.
So one of the things that we could start to do is just start to gather. And what do we know? We know that probably the answer is going to be somewhere in the 300,000s.
Yes.
Yes, we do know that. That's the realm of the answer.
Yes.
And more than 320,000. Yes.
More, yes, more than that.
Yes.
Probably more than 321,200.
Yes.
Yes.
3,000, 2,100,000, and 16.
16. Yes.
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 And so we started to get into the ballpark of playing with the number rather than running straight into the obstacle that this is a hard math problem.
Yes. I am a math deficient person. So the minute this comes up as an offer, there's a part of my brain that says, I will suck at this and I will be overwhelmed. And this approach, and I'm just being very honest, it was very fun to do. And I really trusted that it was going to be okay. And I didn't think we were going to get to an answer.
We didn't exactly get to the answer. We could have followed an algorithm and made sure we got it. That said, we were very close.
Were we?
Yeah.
368,936.
Well, see, we were definitely in the ballpark, and doing that without, for me, just not writing anything down. And I believed that we were, like my brain just started to adapt to, okay, just adaptability. This is a very good exercise. I'm saying this as a person who's not good with this kind of problem. I actually began to like it. And that is saying a lot. That is saying a lot for me to be actually like a math problem. I was purposely not writing anything down because I didn't want to, like, I wanted to just do it as an improv exercise. What a wonderful way to approach what is generally, like you said, just seize up and search for the exact right thing that most likely you won't be able to do unless you're very good with math. And this is an automatic thing for your brain to do.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I found this particular skill very applicable, particularly for parents who have school-age children who take standardized tests.
Yeah.
And if they just have to go quickly, one of
Yeah.
the big things we've learned about standardized tests for almost high schooler is sometimes they just need to make quick decisions. You don't have time. You have to answer 28 math problems in 18 minutes.
Right.
You know, so being able to play with the numbers where you're like, oh, it's going to be somewhere in the 300,000s. Oh, there's only two
Right.
answers that are even in that ballpark. So
Right.
now you've just gotten a 50-50 shot because
Oh,
you're playing with the numbers rather than like, I don't know. And I'm with you, Jude. Math was never my thing. I found it extremely stressful. And I was the ding dong in college where they were like, okay, take calculus. And I was like, is there a class below calculus? I'd like to take that. I took math for non-science majors, and that was still really hard. And the funny thing is, Pat and I have a super mathy kid. And God love him. I sit and do homework with them, and he's now in algebra, and he's explaining it to me. And it's very sweet because he'll explain it with this idea of agile thinking, of look at this. And then he'll check in on me, which is very nice. And he'll be like, how's it going, Mama? Are you up on it? And I'm like, no, you lost me many steps ago. But I'm here for you.
Yeah.
You keep going.
you've outgrown me, my boy.
Oh, completely.
Wonderful. And I am a person who actually reverses numbers. Like it's a weird kind of dyslexia with numbers. And I won't see myself do it. I'll write 86 instead of 68, for example. And I don't see it. So the number is definitely wrong, even if the process was correct. So I loved this exercise because I did develop this math anxiety because I sometimes knew the process was correct, but my answer was wrong. And nobody gave me any time for that. They didn't give me any options for that. So this was an automatic, or not automatic, it was a choice to shift thinking based on your mandate to cheer these numbers, what we know about them, and to say, oh, what do I know? As opposed to, how can I get this right? Or that, that other sort of logical brain. This wasn't a logical thing. It did lead to a different approach to the right thing, to the thing you want anyway, which is you do need an answer with math. You do need numbers to be correct for aviation and surgery.
Yeah.
And accounting.
True. Which is so funny because I come from a family of accountants.
Oh my goodness. Well, I come from a family of scientists and medical professionals. So they would sit at the table and do a problem like this for fun. Not the way we did it. How fast can they figure it out without writing it down? That's my family. So I was definitely the odd man out in that way. So I really love this exercise. And listeners, I did not know this is what we were going to do. So it was a true improv moment. So we're going to have to move on to our next exercise so you get them all in here before we run out of time. So did you have a mindset one to do as well?
Yeah, I guess that's definitely a mindset one. At the same time, I can connect that to resilience as well, because what we're talking about is having a long-term positive outlook. We can have a short-term realistic outlook and a long-term positive one, right? Okay. Helps us get through challenges, helps us get through challenging times in our lives, that reminding ourselves or even picturing how we're going to get through this, right? And actually, there's some research on resilience that having conversations, there's research on soldiers going through basic training and a group that was able to have a regular conversation about what's going on, how are you feeling, what's challenging, and how do you see yourself getting past that challenge, had much, much higher success rate in completing the course. So that idea of picturing a desirable outcome. We're going to tell a yes and story, right? So just one sentence at a time, yes and this, yes and that, yes and that, except it's not just any yes and story, it's a yes and superhero story. So the first thing we're going to do is build a threat, okay? Something is bad, and we're going to yes and, we're going to make it worse and worse and worse and worse, as bad as we possibly can, okay? So we're going to start there. Let's build a threat. I was going to say what's attacking the city. I don't know if it's attacking the city. Something's bad. What's bad?
The weather is bad?
Yes, the weather is bad, and it's become conscious.
Yes, and The consciousness is really, really building to the point that it is expanding by the minute. And it's a cloud of awareness, which is just a cloud of eyeballs looking over us.
And the eyeballs have consciousness because Earth is mad. Earth is mad
Yes.
that we have been hurting it, and it is going to get us to pay attention.
Yes. And so we look up into the sky and see a cloud shaped like a face with a million eyeballs glaring down at us, and it starts to rain pellets at the earth.
And yes, and those pellets come down in the forms of words: disappointment, failure, and plastic. And the things you wrap around the bread that we're not supposed to do anymore. They're just raining down on us.
Yes, and there is a shadow of shame. It's shame in the form of a dark rain. It's rain that's black. It's called black rain, and it comes out of the eyeballs like tears on
Wow.
humanity. Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to pause there for a second. Okay, so we've built a threat and we could continue doing that. Right now, we'll pause because into our world comes our hero. So we're going to build our hero to save the world from black rain. Okay, and so we will now, yes, and build our hero.
Our hero stands at 4'2".
Our hero wears a pocket protector because he's very much the scientist.
Yes, and he has glasses that are 2 inches thick.
Yes, and wearing sensible Doc Martens so that he can get through anything, because a doc will never let you down.
Yes, and he's always got a headset on and he talks into it all the time, sometimes to make voice memos for himself and sometimes to communicate with people because he thinks constantly about problems.
Yes. And as he pulls on his button of his lab coat, and out pops a cape of umbrella fabric that comes up over his head, protecting his headset.
Yes, and that umbrella is a beautiful, beautiful, bright neon colored rainbow, so that it feels like no matter where our scientist is, they are going to lead us somewhere over the rainbow.
Yes, and this umbrella is decked out with LED lights so it can be seen from space. It's so bright.
Yes. And the LED lights have a cloud dissipating quality because they shine directly into the eyeballs of the cloud.
Yes, and slowly we start to imagine that the scientist can radiate out anything he imagines.
Yes, and he imagines that this force, this weather force, is now in some way becoming compassionate toward humanity and knows humanity is just a bunch of dumb people, not like
Wow.
him, who's brilliant.
Yeah, well, okay. And so now we're going to move into we've sort of done it already. We're going to move into the last part, our resolution. How does our superhero affect or manage our threat? Okay. We've done it already. So it's radiating out knowledge of humanity's foibles and the eyeballs in the cloud, as opposed to releasing black rain, they begin to tear up and drop tears onto the earth.
Yes, and as the tears come down, the scientist sends up even more information of all the poor choices that we've made, whether it's bell-bottom jeans, if the poor choices that we made around mohawks, faux hawks, and mullets. All these in the effort to make the eyeballs cry more.
Yes. And as the eyeballs cry more, these beautiful teardrops of rain, it begins to cleanse all the dreary, dark rain away and replace it with crystal clear rain, which makes people start to look up instead of looking down. They begin to look up.
Yes. And our hero shines his lights into the sky, and we're able to see, the people of Earth are able to see far enough into the sky that they see into the future.
Yes, and when they start to imagine what's possible by looking up as opposed to looking down at their phones, they realize that the universe is infinite. And it was something so gentle that it's actually all of our responsibilities to take care of it.
Yes, and our hero, using quantum mechanics, shows humanity what will happen, all the possible multiverses, and that we have choices. There's a multiverse, and then we could choose our path. And because of his genius, we can see a path that is of hope.
Yes. And all humanity jumps across into an alternate universe in which we took care of the Earth from the beginning.
Yes! I want to read that book.
That's a hit. Oh my gosh, this is like better than Mission Impossible.
Who needs AI?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such a delightful conversation and so much fun to play games with you. And I think you covered all the big points about not only helping parents be better parents, but people open up their thinking. Also to look up, of course. Hidden in every improv game is a secret truth. So,
Always.
how can everybody, final thoughts you want to say before, and then tell us how people can find you?
I would say final thoughts that I want to say is that one of the things that Pat and I have really, we feel very lucky. Obviously, we're married improvisers, which that is very helpful when creating. One of the things we really realize is that we have to trust our own voices to say yes and I think that what people don't realize, and I share this story very briefly. We do a lot of work with PTAs, and PTAs bring us in to run our marquee workshop, which is Improv Your Child's RAM. And we really take parents through these exercises in the hopes that they go and take them into their dinner tables, in the car trips, and all of that. And I always think back, we did one workshop in person here in New York City, and this one mother started to cry because she said, I had stopped playing, I had stopped engaging because there was just too much to be done and I was missing it. I
Right.
was missing raising these folks. And to me, everyone is capable of playing improv games. Everyone and reminding parents and teaching parents these games that are so inherent into everything that we do and realize that it can have an impact on their day-to-day lives and sharing smiles and laughs and memories with their kids. I feel like the luckiest person in the world that A, I was trained in improv, and B, that I can share this with other people.
Thank you. And that you have a partner doing it together as a family is very encouraging to other parents. I mean, you're not just talking about it, you're actually living it.
Oh, absolutely. One of our catchphrases actually, because our company is Funny Parents, and you can find us at funnyparentspodcast.com. But our catchphrase is sort of live in real lives, laughing real hard.
Oh, beautiful.
And we do. We play games with our kids, and now our kids are old enough that they throw yes and back at us.
Mhm.
Whenever they're talking about something that we want to do, they say yes and then they're happy to add their 2 cents about what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You have empowered your children. What have you done?
Yes. So, Pat, do you want to talk about the podcast?
Oh, yes. Well, there are two sides to the podcast. We started a podcast years ago, just talking to other parents who happen to be in the comedy industry in one way or another, mostly improv friends, people on this journey, and just asking them for real stories. So it happened to be Funny Parents came from these people are in comedy. They happen to be funny. And right now, we're not necessarily asking them to be funny. They're just telling honest stories about things that happened that time my baby pooped all over me on a plane, things that happen as you're raising kids. And from there, also, Mary was PTA president of our school. And boy, we kept wanting to do some sort of show about PTAs because the very unique culture that gets created in a PTA is something that's very identifiable and also just has its own vibe. And so recently, we've gotten with a lot of the parents who have told us stories over the years and created an improvised PTA meeting. So it's called the Mark Chan Elementary PTA. It's on our regular podcast feed, but Mark Chan Elementary PTA. And every month we have a PTA meeting, and there's things going on in people's lives that turn up, and there are certain parents who need a little more attention than others, and we get to experience that as we go through it. And every episode is a real surprise, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes, it's really fun to show up with other people and just improvise and play. It's not scripted at all. We may or may not in our first season have murdered one of the members of the PTA.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh.
debatable. But the other thing, so please check out our podcast, subscribe to Funny Parents Podcast. And if you yourself run sort of any school or parent group, please reach out. We would love to bring Improv Your Child's RAM to your PTA meeting and work with your parents. It's a really, really fun night where parents play together.
I hope that people take you up on that. And yeah, because there just couldn't be a more important, honestly, time for you to offer something like that. So I'm just giving them they don't need my encouragement. They just heard you being brilliant. But I hope that that happens. And thank you both so very much for everything you do, for all your contributions, and for saying yes to being part of this podcast today. It's been an absolute delight to play with you and to talk to you about something that means so much to me.
Jude, we adore you.
Thank you, Jude.
That's it for this episode of Improv in Real Life. For more info about our guest and other resources, you can visit our show notes. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please follow or subscribe wherever you listen. And if you're feeling extra generous, write us a review or share with a friend. You can also find us on Instagram at lifestage_inc. And if you want to dive deeper into these concepts, please connect with me on Substack at Jude Treder-Wolff.
To be continued, to be continued, to be continued.
We need each other now more than ever. We need creativity more than ever. I hope these games and ideas inspire you in some way. And if they do, keep it going. I will too. See you next time.